always try to remind myself that I haven't done anything wrong. I had sleepless nights, during this time. Now again, it's gonna be not easy, but this is a very difficult moment for me and also for my team.
It's not a good image for our sport, that's for sure. So I would say a majority of the players that I've talked to in the locker room, not just in the last few days, but also last few months, that are not happy with the way this whole process has been handled. The majority of the players doesn't feel that it's fair. Majority of the players feel like there is favorism happening. It seems like it appears that you can almost affect the outcome if you're a top player, if you have access to the top lawyers and whatnot. Swiatek and Sinner are innocent, and it's proven, unless it's proven otherwise. So right now we know they're innocent, and Sinner's got suspension for 3 months because of the mistakes and the negligence of his team members that are working on the tour. So that's also something that I personally and a lot of players find a bit strange. That, also the fact that there's so much inconsistencies between the cases. So we've seen on the social media Simona Halep and Tara Moore and some other players that are maybe less known that have been struggling to resolve their cases for years or have gotten the ban for years. And I think, right now it's a ripe time for us to really address the system, because the system and the structure obviously doesn't work of anti-doping. It's obvious. We have to choose. The inconsistency is something that frustrates all the players. It's like if you are going to treat every case individually or independently, which is what's happening, then there is no consistency, then there is no transparency, and some cases are transparent, some are not. We know that there's a kind of a vague rule that I read that it's within a reasonable time you have to provide information where you got contaminated substance, and he provided it in this, as I understand, 6-hour window, but it's not. It doesn't say in the rules it's a 6-hour. It's a reasonable time. So what's the reasonable time? Obviously, sometimes in one case you can have a larger contamination. Sometimes, in some cases, you have a smaller one, like in his case. But the problem is that right now there is a lack of trust generally from the tennis players, both men and female, towards WADA and ITIA and the whole process. So we either going to agree that all the cases will be transparent from the beginning, or all will be kept private until they're resolved.
I would never, even in my entire life, ever try and dope in this sport. This is something that, especially going through an injury like I went through, and obviously there are things out there that could speed up healing, help me get back to prime level, help my recovery. There's so many things out there that are prohibited in our sport that I could have been doing to get me back quicker. 2 years out of the sport in my prime. Basically, I was 28, competing for Wimbledon, US Open, and I had an injury where I could have been doing things to get back, but that's just not who I am. I have to be outspoken about it because I don't think there's enough people that are speaking about it. I think people are trying to sweep it under the rug and saying that, about the amount and all this. It's just like, it's not nothing about that. It's like, there's not fair treatment for every single player. We've seen that with Max Purcell. And the reason that's different is because he went to the authorities first. He admitted that he had done something, that was on the prohibited list, and he was outspoken about it. That's how it should be, rather than all this sweeping under the rug and not knowing, and there's question marks. Okay, he's number one in the world and he's an amazing tennis player. I've never said he's not. And I just think the treatment has to be fair for everyone. And I just think that it's been handled horrifically in our sport, and 2 world number ones both getting done for doping is disgusting for our sport. It's a horrible look.
It just seems a little bit too convenient. It seems there's words like agreement, and it almost seems like there's been a negotiation. And obviously, having just won the Australian Open, to miss 3 months of the tour and therefore be eligible to play at Roland Garros. The timing, couldn't have been any better for Sinner, but I still think it leaves pretty sour taste for the sport. So I'm sure we'll understand a little bit more, because it is such a fresh story. But yeah, it's just a bit too convenient for me right now. I very much felt that once they were going to the Court of Arbitration for Sport with WADA, that in my opinion, I thought Sinner would get some sort of ban. It probably does emphasize how that tribunal felt that it was such sort of unfortunate circumstances that they've accepted his story of the of his physio using something for a cut on his own hand that then got into Sinner's system. But I think when you're dealing with drugs in sport, it very much has to be black and white. It's binary. It's positive or negative. It's you're banned or you're not banned, and I think that's when you start reading words like settlement or agreement. It feels like there's been a negotiation, and I don't think that will sit well with certainly the player cohort and the fans of the sport.
Sinner's coach also addressed the situation and explained how Sinner tested positive 2 times.
Back in March at Indian Wells, and Giacomo Naldi, who is the physiotherapist of Jannik, put his hand into his medical bag. He cut his finger on a scalpel that they used to cut off the calluses off the feet, and on the pinky finger it was quite a big cut. I didn't see it. The other person that was in the room at the time was Umberto Ferrara, and he is the physical trainer of Jannik, and Jannik also didn't see it. And I walked into the room and saw that he was putting a white bandage on his finger, looked and asked him what happened. He said he cut his finger, and I said, is there anything we need to do? And he said, no, all good, no problem. And that was the last I actually thought about it. So what happened after that was Jannik actually saw Giacomo that night, saw for the first time that he'd cut his finger, asked him what he did, asked him if he'd used any ointments or creams or anything to put on that finger to help the healing. He said no, which was the truth at the time. And then what happened after that was between Umberto Ferrara and Giacomo Naldi. So Umberto had a spray, which is quite common in Italy. I'd never heard about it before and never seen the spray. And he offered it to Giacomo to help with the healing. He had it for personal reasons, I believe. And from that, it had a banned substance inside that spray, which is quite common in Italy. And there's actually been a few cases of Italian players that have tested positive before with that particular spray. And over the course of the next week, Giacomo continued to use that spray to help the healing of his finger, unbeknownst to any of us. And with the treatments that he was giving to Jannik, somehow it passed from Giacomo's finger through to Jannik, and he tested positive. That's pretty much the summary for us. Jannik, everybody has to know that he had no part in this at all. He didn't elect to ingest anything. He didn't take any tablets. He didn't intend to cheat. Somehow he's tested positive through this connection with this particular spray from Giacomo through to Jannik. We don't know how. Working on the feet, a massage, whatever it may be, and he's given 2 positive results because of that.